Now when it comes to Easter side, they have to be pre-made because who wants to go to church and come home and cook? No, I don't even cook on regular Sundays because that's the day of rest. So we're going to prepare some easy side dishes, 3 in fact, that's going to be great for your Easter dinner. Scalloped potatoes and a green bean casserole that doesn't have canned soup in it, but bacon. Stick around for that. And an easy dinner roll that doesn't even need a mixer. First, we're going to try Mom's dinner rolls. We need to place 1 stick of butter and 1 1/2 cups of milk into a saucepan. And we're going to warm this up to the butter is melted. And while you're waiting for the butter to melt, you might want to stir your milk just so it doesn't stick to the bottom of your pan. And we're going to add a 1/4 cup of sugar to our mixture and make sure that sugar is dissolved with our warm milk. In the meantime, we're going to add 1/2 cup of hot water that's 105 to 115 degrees. And the easiest way to know that it is not too hot is if you stick your finger and can hold it there for 10 seconds without screaming. If you can put your finger in there, we're good. Then we're going to add 1/2 tablespoons of dry active yeast. I keep mine in a glass jar in the freezer and it'll keep longer. So I have a 1/2 tablespoon measure and I'm going to just dump it in 3 times. So we're going to let this bloom while our butter melts into our milk. So since our butter is melted, we're going to turn off our heat and remove it from the heat and reduce it down to where it won't kill the yeast, which is 105 to 115. When the yeast is bubbly, add a cup of flour and mix well. Next, we're going to crack our 2 eggs. And add those and clean up our mess. Our 2 teaspoons of salt. And salt is very important for the process of making bread. Ask me how I know. Then we're going to add another cup of flour. And we're going to beat that well. And I'm using a Danish whisk to mix this up. You don't even need a stand mixer for this dinner roll recipe. And I'm getting a little impatient about the butter, milk, sugar mixture coming down, so I've done an ice bath in pot method. And I have my thermometer here taking its temperature. And you just have to keep an eye on it if you're in a hurry or just have stuff to do. We're going to add our milk mixture, another 1/4 cup of sugar, and 3 cups of flour. And we're going to mix this to combine. Then we're going to add 1 last cup of flour. And get that worked in. The dough is going to be sticky, and you want sticky to be so it's light and fluffy. And want to make sure all the flour is absorbed. I'm just gonna put flour on my fingers to get the dough off the hook. Ha 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 ha. Get it off the hook. At least I make myself laugh. Alright. I think I need just a little bar scraper. I have done this in my stand mixer, but since you don't need to knead it, I'm like, why dirty the bowl? And you don't want to overmix it anyhow. Just using this scraper, I think we'll be alright. So we're just going to knead it a little bit. Just folding it on top of each other. Then we're going to spray the bottom of the bowl with grease. And cover that. I sprayed it with grease just so it doesn't dry out. Then we're going to put a flour sack towel on it. And then we're going to let this rise for the next hour. Next we're going to try Sarah's bacon wrapped green beans. Believe it or not, they actually taste way better than they look. You can either cook your bacon, then crush it up, or as I'm doing is just taking scissors and snipping them and cooking them up that way. We have crisped up the bacon in the frying pan. Now you want to melt 6 tablespoons of butter. Sarah's green bean casserole, we've melted our butter. We're going to add a half a cup of brown sugar, packed, a half a teaspoon of garlic salt. I just basically put a half a teaspoon of garlic and a quarter teaspoon of salt in. We're going to add that and a quarter teaspoon of soy sauce. And we're just going to mix that into our melted butter. I'm excited to try this. Sarah said this is loved by everybody that's tried it at her house when she has people over. We got a lump in our brown sugar. There we go. So then I'm gonna use some fresh lard from the neighbors to grease my pan. Then we're going to take our drained green beans and add that to the pan. And you want to use at least a 2-quart pan. And we're just going to pour our sauce all over the green beans. Oops. And we're going to make sure they're coated, because we don't want to dirty a bowl if we don't have to, especially at the holiday season. Then we're going to add our crispy bacon to the top. Into a preheated 400-degree oven, we're going to bake this for a half hour. And there we have bacon top green beans. Thanks to Sarah. And if only if you could smell it. I didn't hear you at all.
That's okay.
We are going to shape our rolls. And I like to weigh mine because I like a uniform size. And you get exactly 30 rolls that way. I weigh mine in 2-ounce portions. And I tuck it in. And then just take your index finger and your thumb and just roll it. Preferably faster. And then you have your burst shaped dough ball. Now we've got 29 more to go. And it's all it is to it. Oh, that was almost 2 ounces. Literally. After a while you get the hang of it, you can. It actually is way faster if you have 2 people. Ask me how I know. At 9 o'clock at night doing this. But I wouldn't suggest you starting until 8 o'clock to start rolls like I have. It's a little too late in the evening. And you want them to be sticky. That is the key part of a good roll. We're going to let these rest for 30 minutes with our flour sock towel covering them up. And then we're going to let them bake in the oven. We're going to pop these lovely rolls into the oven and we're going to bake them at 375 for about 20 minutes. It's been 20 minutes and our rolls smell amazing. Look at all that. So we're going to brush some melted butter on the tops of these because you know what's a dinner roll without butter. You know, back in the 50s and 60s they always had dinner rolls at every meal, but now we only break them out for holidays, and you're lucky if you get a homemade roll. Let's make this year extra special. I think that's good, don't you? Alright, who's coming over for Easter? Now we're going to do classic scalloped potatoes, something my mom always had on the table at Easter. We're going to use a 3-quart casserole dish that's deep, and we're going to grease it well, and I'm using lard. First I'm going to take my Yukon Gold potatoes and I'm going to use my mandolin slicer and slice them. The thinner, the better. And that's why I wear a cutlass glove. No waste. And we're just going to transfer this to a bowl. Our scalloped potato recipe is coming out of the Pennsylvania Dutch Cookbook on page 164. And it's calling for 6 cups of raw potatoes thin sliced. And 4 tablespoons of flour, 2 1/2 teaspoons of salt and pepper, chopped onion, 2 1/2 cups of milk, hot milk. I'm going to pour 2 1/2 cups of milk. And we're going to heat this to about 180 degrees. I'm gonna pre-cube my butter, and don't use really soft butter because you'll use more. Ask me how I know. You just want to dot the layers with small pieces of butter. That's gonna help make your sauce. So we're gonna put down our first layer of potatoes, and somehow I didn't see the badness. Then we're going to take a handful of onions. My husband didn't think I put enough onions in the last time, so we'll fix his little behind. And then we're going to sprinkle on some salt. And grind some black pepper. And add our first tablespoon of flour and a few pieces of butter. Then we're just going to repeat that until we get 2 inches from the top. Let me know what your favorite Easter dish is, or your favorite potato dish. I think I like cheesy potatoes, or funeral potatoes, whatever you want to call them.
That's what I'm making for Easter breakfast.
But I always liked my mom's scalloped potatoes. So we got our potatoes, another layer of onion, salt, pepper, flour, and the butter, and not the parquet. And the onion. And your butter. And I think this will be our last row of potatoes. And use up that onion and add our salt. And our flour. And the last of the butter. And then we want to pour our hot milk on top. Slowly. You just want to make sure everything gets covered. We're going to bake this at 350 for at least an hour to an hour and a half. And you want to make sure you can put a fork through tender to know that the potatoes are done. Alright, the time's up. And bubbling out of the oven. You definitely want this to cool down before you take your first bite. Thanks for being here and happy Easter, and I hope you have a great holiday. If you've made it this far into the video, I appreciate you so much, and thanks for being here. I hope you try at least one of these recipes.